Patriotism is defined as the quality of being patriotic and the devotion of vigorous support for one's country as defined by the Oxford Dictionary 2021. So the question remains, should schools teach students to be patriotic? This is a question that remains open-ended because it can create a controversial response since it's very universal to the ideals of how society reacts to patriotism in America. Diane Ravish's article, Should We Teach Patriotism?, is a historian of education and educational policy analysis and a research professor at New York's University Steinhardt School of Culture, Education, and Human Development, 2006. She outlines her personal agenda of exploring the open-ended question, should schools teach students to be patriotic? While reviewing the article, Ravitch describes that the extent to which we adhere or admire patriotism in school is how it is taught. She provides several examples of uncritical self-praise of our nation's instruction is wrong, and that it would be rather in doctrine rather than education. She further discussed that if we, however, teach civic education and define patriotism as a respectful understanding and the principles and practices of self-government, then patriotism will be woven through our daily lives and the teaching of public schools. Public schools help forge the teaching of the new generation and the ideals of society, so the progression of nations' belief of individualism helps promote the understanding of patriotism in America. Moreover, while Diane Ravish's article, Should We Teach Patriotism, 2006, discusses her belief of patriotism integrated in the school systems through historical context, Alex Rosenberg's article, The Making of the Non-Patriot, 2017, believed otherwise. Alex Rosenberg, The Making of a Non-Patriot, is an American philosopher, 2017. He believed that such beliefs are suppressing the true historical context of patriotism. He believed that educating the younger generation of the patriotism of America is only providing the good parts, and that once a generation becomes older, they will soon realize the schemes placed upon patriotism through oppression and finding out the injustices and unfairness glossed over time. Alex Rosenberg, The Making of a Non-Patriot, 2017, provides examples stating that people will become non-patriot once the discoveries of the separate but equal in 1954 didn't disclose information in the same year, as well as with Earl Warren, who endorsed concentration camps for Japanese American citizens in 1944, and the decision was never overturned, still even today. Or even when the Supreme Court case Brown versus Board of Education, 20 years after the case, segregation became the worst in America. These examples, provided by Alex Rosenberg, The Making of a Non-Patriot, 2017, conclude the understanding of patriotism is mass, overthrowing many citizens a curveball of accepting patriotism in America. However, Joel Rosenberg debated the unveiling question of patriotism in social sciences. Social studies is a subject taught throughout school, starting in some schools at the age of 6. In November of 2001, less than 2 months after the terrorist attack on World Trade Center, Nebraska State Board of Education approved of a patriotism bill specifying content for the high school social studies curriculum in accordance with the state's 1949 statute as stated by Joel Wesenberg, who resides as the University Research Chair in Democracy and Education at the University of Ottawa. His article, Should Social Studies Be Patriotic, 2009. This article further discusses that the Board of Education discusses that social sciences should further disclose the love of America and relevance to the flag. Since then, more states approve of the change of curriculum and has influenced the education of social science today. Wesenbar believed that there are many ways to express our commitment to our country, and that patriotism is a commitment not to the government, but to the ideals of equality, compassion, and justice. Furthermore, Brian W. Dott's Educational Foundations is a professor at the Department of Educational Theory and Practice, College Education at the University of Georgia, and after 2019, articulated how the political nature of education has been influenced by ideological conflicts. The federal government presumed dominance over the educational sector through the use of funding, but ultimately provided states the opportunity to make the decision regarding educational practices. The article further provides examples of different presidents that alerted the understanding of liberalism and ultimately influenced patriotism for education over time, even into today. While the question of whether schools should teach students to be patriotic still remains open-ended, after reviewing all the articles discussed, I believe that patriotism should be taught in education. Despite diplomatic issues regarding injustices and unfairness throughout the historical period, it helps the next generation grow from these mistakes and overturn these overarching issues into a better nation.